Hi everybody. If you're watching, this is Zoph, and you are looking at Simply SCAdian, no title required. And I'm just checking that we are live on Facebook, and it looks like we are. So, hi everybody. Like I said, this is Zoph. You're watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. And this show is about regular folk in the SCA is who we like to talk to. We want to hear from people who are not peers, who are not landed baron and baronesses, who've never been royalty. We want to talk to regular folk in the SCA. Lucas, my usual co-host, is out today, so instead I have asked an incredible person to join me as co-host, and that is Jalecia at Northcliffe. Hi, Jalecia. Why don't you
Hey.
tell us? It is really, really awesome to have you here. Um, why don't you start off by telling us about our guest?
Oh, well, so first of all, thank you so much for asking me. It's incredible to be here. So tonight, our wonderful guest is Tariq Al Off Fjall. I'm sorry, let me try that again. Tariq Al Sanna Off Fjall. And he is an artist and heavy fighter based out of the barony of the Cleflands, mundanely known as Cleveland, Ohio. He's a sergeant of the Midroll Army and squire to Eichbrander Sol Giaffi of the great house Nitoralthia, or Red Dawn, of the village Trothheim, and proud champion to Countess Serena. As a heavy fighter, he is authorized in sword and shield, polearm, 6-foot spear, great weapon, and 2-sword. And he's currently working on getting his fencing kit and authorization. He really enjoys the melee side of fighting, especially knocking people down during bridge battles. And as an artist and creative in his mundane life, he's curious about everything the medieval arts have to offer: illumination and calligraphy, embroidery, woodworking. And during the time of the plague, he's tried his hand at bardic arts. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, this is really awesome to have. So, for those who don't know, the three of us all are Cleflanders. We're all from the barony of the Cleflands, which is mundanely Cleveland, Ohio. I play with the barony south, but I'm a good friend of the barony of the Cleflands. And this is, God, this is really awesome because it's two people that I just adore right now on Zoom with me. This is great.
Aw. Well, thank you.
Aw. So,
Aw.
Tariq, let's start out with our usual question.
Okay.
How'd you find the SCA?
So, I don't know if I want to say 10 years ago, I was working in a magazine situation, business to business magazine situation. And my then friend, now Squire brother, even though he's inactive, Sean, we worked together. And he noticed because I had all kind of, at the time, Speed Racer was just coming. The remake movie, the Wachowski brothers movie had just came out. And I had collected all of the Speed Racer cars. And I had them up in my little desk area. And I had all kind of cars and robots and geek stuff. And we were talking and talking smack like we used to do. And he said, "You would love this hobby I'm in." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he explained to me about what the SCA was. And I'll be quite honest with you. I looked him dead in his face, and I hope I don't offend anybody by this, but I said, "That's for white folks. You're not about to hit me upside the head with a stick. Forget that. I'm cool. You have fun." So he was like, "No, just come out, see it. I know you're a geek. You're gonna love it. Come on out." One meeting. He made me promise to come to one meeting, and strangely enough, it was a meeting of it was a tournament. I think it was like the Cleflands heavy tournament, heavy championship. So my first event was a local tournament, and the way that we do things at local level is we try to run it as close to, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, as close to a crown tournament as possible. And it was the first time I had ever seen anything like that. It was all the pomp and circumstance. Everybody was coming in based on the order of precedence. The consorts, they were bowing. It was awesome. Who it was it Baron Edward and Millicent at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in my mundanes. I'm pretty sure I had on a football jersey, and I'm just kind of watching all of this going on. And I was the whole time I'm sitting there, mouth wide open, and I wanted right then and there. I'm on. I'm in it. I want to be it. And little did I know, this lady would walk up to me. I never met her, never saw her, and she said, "Hey, welcome." Real sweet to me, and she's like, "You've got on modern clothes. Here's something I'd like you to wear, and you can wear this tonight." And she gave me, it was real basic tunic, but you would have thought she had given me a full silk situation. And I was just like, oh my God, I am, dressed up and I'm at a medieval thing, and no one's looking at me weird. So that lady was Runa, Her Grace Runa. I didn't know who she was at the time. We just kind of clicked, and I watched the tournament, and I told Sean that, I'm down. Let's get my stuff together. Let's happen. And that was it. I've been hooked ever since.
Well, that's an incredible story. Just to follow up on that, I see that in your introduction that you are a squire, and I wondered why you wanted to be a squire, what that means to you. What does it mean to be a squire to you? And do you consider yourself on the path, as they say, to knighthood? Is that a goal of yours?
So, let's see. What's the first? So the first part is, why did I want to be a squire?
Well, and what does being a squire mean to you?
So let me say this. When I first started, I would talk a lot of smack and say, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna kick everybody, but I'm gonna be a knight, I'm gonna be king. This is gonna be no cake. 10 years later, um, so being a squire, the Cleflins has a wealth of chivalry, old school and new school. And when I got there, I was just kind of like, looking and kind of trying to understand, trying to find my place. And everybody was really friendly with me. And they asked me, a couple people asked me, you're playing this game. Do you think you could be a knight? And in the first question, what's a knight? I don't know what a knight is. And they kind of explain it's like the best of the best. They have to be kind of good at everything, which was cool because I was interested in everything. And I said, and I kind of still feel this way. No, I don't want to be a knight. I want to be the best me I can be, and whatever that shakes out as is cool. Because I'm not trying to put any additional pressure on myself, but I will study hard, I work hard, I play hard, and my teacher, Ike Brander, we just kind of just really the personalities clicked. We joke around. He's a Pisces, I'm a Scorpion. It just kind of works. Pisces are always in my life if you believe in that sort of thing. And we just kind of our personalities really balanced out. And for me, being a squire, especially being a little bit, not even a little bit, the oldest squire, and I'm now the senior squire. When I came in, I was the baby squire, and through circumstances, I'm now the old man. I'm pops. So for me, being a squire meant being a student, and being responsible for what we call in our household the younglings, because we're always people gravitate to their tribe. So when younglings come in or they start hanging out, I just kind of take it on myself to kind of show them the ropes, show them what's expected of them, and not necessarily for a household, just for them to have fun. Because I was told when I first started, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And I really took that to heart. So just kind of like, okay, if you have any questions, ask me. If you need help with anything, I'm down. I'll help you out. We'll figure it out. And that's kind of the role I took. And then at some point, I like to believe a squire, like any student teacher relationship, you start teaching the teacher. So you start sharing and having these incredible exchanges of information and philosophy. And I think that really works for Eichbrander and myself.
Um, just in case you're late joining us, I wanted to say hi. This is Simply SCAdian. We're talking with Tariq Al-Sunna off Fjall, who is from the Barony of the Cleflands. So you didn't answer the question if you are looking to pursue if your end goal, hopefully knowing that peerage is never an end, it's always the beginning. But is the white belt something or the white baldric something that you're actively pursuing?
Wow, I'm going to stick with my answer. I'm trying to be the best that I can be of me, and if it's recognized that I'm worthy, then so be it.
Okay. Jalecia, I know you have questions.
Yes, I have lots of questions. Yes. In reading your intro, I read through a whole bunch of things that I don't understand because I'm not a fighter. So I'd like for you to maybe explain what some of these are.
Okay.
I think I know what sword and shield is.
Yep.
What do you do with a 6-foot spear?
You hit people with it.
We got that part.
So that it is, imagine I'm 6 foot, so I've got a stick with a pointy end on it, and I am trying to put the pointy end into the soft part of that person that also has a stick, who's trying to put their pointy end into me. I don't know if you've ever seen Robin Hood when the battle with Robin and Leon on the bridge. It's a little bit, it's sort of like that, where you can kind of do some very hand-to-hand combat, so you can push and kind of poke and really get in there.
Okay. What is two sword?
Exactly what it sounds like. 2 hands, 2 swords, and you're kind of doing this thing, but with much better balance and cutting prowess, hopefully.
But you don't get a shield. Are you using the
No
swords
shield
to keep the other person away? Like,
yes, it's I think it's more of an offensive style, where you're kind of using your swords and your movement to attack and defend. So your defense is you're moving out of the way, you're staying out of range. You don't have a shield, so you've got to use your swords effectively also to block and be threatening. Because if you come up on somebody who really knows what they're doing, it doesn't matter that they don't have a shield or not. Trust and believe.
Okay. Why do you want to cross over to fencing?
It's so I originally had no interest, and until I went to the known world, I forget what it's called. The known world
Academy of Defense or something like that. Defense.
Something. Yeah. It's something like that. And I went with then Serena, and I of course couldn't let her go by herself, so I borrowed a kit from Sir Silverthorne, and I had the greatest time. And that kind of speaks to the SCA. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do it, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, I got to do that again.
Yeah.
So I spent all day. Well, originally I thought, heavy fighting is real fighting. This will be just kind of, playing with toys and, just kind of pokey. And that was not the case. I found a whole bunch of muscles that I did not know were there. A whole bunch of movement and situations that I just didn't realize that they did. And I juggled. There was some juggling. And then I saw some cut and thrust, which is a little bit, it's fencing on steroids. So you've got fencing, but you've got some elements of heavy fighting, a little bit different equipment, but it's still fun. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this too. Yeah.
So one of the questions I told Kari that we were interviewing you. People may remember that Kari was the very first guest that we had on Simply SCAdian. And one of the questions he asked me to ask you is absolutely fascinating.
Uh-oh.
What are some of the
Bracing.
Okay, so what are some of the customs in the Middle Kingdom that you love?
Customs. So I don't have my spurs. I when I first saw that, I thought that was really cool, where squires have to earn their spurs. I you know what, I really uh, love I love being champion. I love the relationship that I built with Serena, especially um, since I didn't know her. And now I can't imagine my life without her.
Right. For
Um,
people who don't know, in the mid-realm, the champions are chosen by the king and queen. There's no competition unless they choose to have a competition, but the queen just says, I want this person to be my champion. And then they ask them. Other kingdoms I know have competitions. The winner becomes that takes that role.
So Tariq, you're still her champion, even though she's not queen anymore?
I am always her champion.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's great. I wasn't aware of that.
And if you're going to say traditions, I think uh, that relationship really introduced to me the concept of courtly love. You hear about it and you read about it and you hear songs about it, and it's like that's you loving somebody that much. It's really an abstract concept until it's not. And yeah, I can't imagine my life without her.
She's a cool person. She's just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's something else.
What's kept you engaged in the SCA?
Um, I on a given day, I'm willing to try just about anything. I don't, at least once to see if I like it, to see if I can be good at it, to see if it's interesting, to see how weird it is. Um, I, there was a long time ago. Again, when I was introduced, I was just like, yeah, we don't do that. And now I'm like, I can do that. What's holding me back? There's nothing holding me back except me. So if I see something, and the way, I guess I don't know if I don't know if it's like this in other kingdoms, but in the mid realm, everybody is, and I'd like to believe is I would like to believe that it's like this everywhere. Everybody is real free with their time, with their experience, with teaching. People want, if you're interested in anything, no matter how weird or obscure it is, if someone knows what it is, they'll teach you. And to the best of their knowledge. And I'm talking about not just giving you they'll give you the basic, and then they'll go, if you're still interested, I've got more. It all depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. And I think that's probably what made me fall in love with the SCA, because it was just like, wow, you want to try throwing weapons? There, go that way. You want to try medieval food? Go that way. anything you want to try. If there's somebody that knows, they'll let you know. And sometimes you get, the one thing that I can't stand about Penzic, and yes, there's some things I don't like about Penzic. You'll be all right. The one thing I don't like about Penzic is, as a heavy fighter, there are a lot of classes that I would love to go to. And I'm there. Yes, I'm there to fight, but there's other things that I want to do. I want to see stuff about how to better how to up my persona, and cooking and pottery making and medieval songwriting. There are things like that that's just like, oh wow, that's cool. Oh man, we got bridge battles today, which I love bridge battles. So it's like, what do you do? And I'm not saying that I was there one year where I couldn't fight. I was injured. I'll never do that again. I did go to a bunch of classes, and that was cool. It was really cool, and that kind of sated my thirst a little bit. But now I need more classes, so we need to figure out how we can get maybe some later classes, or some, I'm not, somebody from Penzic, holla at me. Let's powwow. Let's figure out how heavy fighters can get into some of those classes. I don't know if maybe we need to start with a survey or something to see what we're interested in, and maybe we can figure out a schedule that way, or classes, a special track for fighters that's going to be down, that shows up late, because after you fight, you go home, you shower, and then you're pretty much, unless you got something to do at camp, you're pretty much on your own. So I would be more than willing to go to a couple classes in the evening, if they offer them.
Well, that's a great idea, like
Hint,
ANS after dark.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that there is a lot more in the fighting community, heavy and fencing, that feel the same way.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now I know that mundanely you're an artist, and that you've done some calligraphy and stuff like that. I'm wondering, I'm sure your artistic talent carried over, but were there other things that you had to learn? No. when you started to do calligraphy, or was it just super easy for you because you are so artistically talented?
So it's the same thing. I was athletic when I started fighting, and I had to learn a whole new set of skills. So while I may have a little bit of an advantage, I can see things inside my head and then just kind of lay it out visually. But now it's a new skill set. And to be honest with you, it was, pardon me, really difficult to start, because my ego wouldn't let me be a beginner again. And you have to be, you have to let yourself start. And my teacher, one of my teachers, Mistress Millicent, she always tells me, you have to, what is it? Don't let, she says, don't let okay be the enemy of good.
Yeah, I think it's don't let perfection be the enemy of good. I think that's
right. Yes. Yeah. And when you're a professional, anything, starting over, doing something similar, it's difficult to let yourself, put yourself back at, if you're at level 20, it's hard to go back to level 1. And for me, the idea was, I should be able to do this. I do this every day mundanely. Why can't I do this thing? And the more I work, and it trying to be perfect stopped me from being okay. So now I'm learning how to fail again, and being okay with it, because there's a lot of learning that comes out of failure. At first, I don't know why it was easier to fail at fight. Well, yeah, I do know. Now that I say it out loud, it was easier for me to fail at fighting because I never did that before. You know, somebody bust me upside the head. Okay, I didn't see that coming. I've never done that. But when I start laying out a scroll and doing the research and looking at the colors and applying paints and this should be my wheelhouse. So now and I'm still learning. I allow myself to, in some cases, I force myself to be okay with failing and taking the lessons from that and building my skill set. Did I answer the question?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I just want to
definitely.
make
Yeah.
sure because it was just a moment like, okay.
Sophia, back to you.
Oh, okay. So it's my turn. So,
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about the other arts and sciences that you do. Tell us the other things that you do. I know we said it in your bio, but I'd like to hear it in your own voice and what drew you to those other things.
So, all right. So I'm playing with embroidery, and I blame His Grace Kellick for that because again, he does some really dope work, and I love it, and I'm not good at it at all. So I kind of had to put that one. That's one I had to put down for a while because I was just sticking my fingers and getting upset. So I'm gonna go back to that one. Before pre-COVID, I was starting to kind of look at woodworking a little bit. That's something that's still on my list down the way. Trying the bardic stuff was cool. I enjoyed performing. We'll see if what that holds, but I think I'd like to do and research some Middle Eastern bardic situations. I'm thinking some storytelling. I think what the Arabian Nights. Somebody keeps throwing that out at me, and they're saying, "Oh, you should do it." And I'm like, "Slow your roll. Let me figure it out." What else did I put in my bio that I was doing?
Oh,
I think,
I think that was about it.
yeah, I think it was, that
Embroidery,
was it.
woodworking, and bardic. Yeah. What's something else that you would like to try out, or something that you have absolutely no, at least at this point, no interest in ever trying?
I don't know that I don't have an interest. I think at some point. All right. So the only thing that I don't really do well, and of course my teacher does it well, is the the metal arts. I that's a medium that I just can't even fathom. So maybe at some point I'd like to probably try that. I used to do ceramics and throw pots. I really enjoyed throwing porcelain, so maybe I'll revisit that at some point. I enjoy cooking, so maybe that's something I'll try at some point. Um, Plus, there's a lot of stuff out there that I have no idea, but that is waiting on me, and I'm sure I'm going to bump into somebody or I'm going to be seeing it somewhere, and I'm going to go, "Oh, I think I want to try that."
Yeah.
I'm open to anything. And
Mhm.
like I said, I'll try just about anything once.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of the essay, is that there's just so many things that you can research and try and try out.
I want to learn
So,
how to use my sewing machine better too.
Oh, I can help with that.
I am terrible at sewing, and yeah, that's definitely on my list. And it's you know when you say sewing, it's not just sewing. It's cutting, it's patterns, it's pinning up stuff. Like I've done it, and again, now mind you, that's fiber arts. Oh yeah, that's something I wouldn't mind trying later on to do. Uh, her Grace Runa and her fiber arts.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's really cool. And that kind of ties in a little bit with the embroidery, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I almost kind of have to, my mundane art side is like, do this, do this, do this. And then it's just like, whoa, you still got to work and you still got to,
Still have to do all those mundane things
yeah,
too.
you got to,
Right.
hey, bro, you still got to pay bills. You can't be out there playing all day. So you got to come back. But yeah, I'm always keeping an eye out for things to try.
Okay. Yeah. So do we have another question from Kari?
Um, we do, but I wanted to, well, I wanted to dive into the deep question that we sort of talked about before we went live,
Okay.
which is diversity in the
Mm.
SCA.
Bum, bum,
Bum,
bum.
bum, bum. You know, I mean, it's a big issue. We don't have a lot of minorities in the SCA. Um, what's something that you think we need to do to engage, not tokenize people? Like, you know, one of the things that drives me crazy, and this is how Zof gets in trouble, is that, you know, Seto, Count Seto is like the poster child, and you go to SCA.org and there's Seto, right? Woo, look, we have a black man who won crown. You know, and Seto is not all of you know, all of the
He's,
minorities in the SCA, and it just feels
he's not the
He
monolith.
he can't represent everybody. Yeah.
exactly, and sometimes it felt disingenuous when I saw that picture. I thought it was also great, and hopefully it would draw more people of color to the SCA.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we engage and keep people of color in the SCA?
So I think, and I've given this some thought. Um, I think we have to start at the most basic level, and that's where I was, and that's as with the kids.
Mm.
For me, playing this game was a part of all the Errol Flynn movies that I watched as a kid. It was a part of all the books that I read. You know, my favorite book was Three Musketeers. So, you know, and I love the pirate movies and swashbuckling and you know, saving the girl, and that was a thing for me. And then it became, you know, knights in shining armor, which you know later on you learn, you know, it's a joke. You learn about knights in shining armor. You want the guy who's got the dirty armor because that means he's been doing stuff. If you got shiny armor, that means you ain't been doing nothing. But I think to get more minorities, you start with the kids. How many times have I seen kids, you know, or hear parents, I've got to take little Johnny to soccer. I've got to go to this thing. I've got to go to that thing. Well, if we go to some of the elementary schools or some of the middle schools and we do demos and we say, hey, you know, let's show them what we do, especially the members of color. We're out here and we show them what I was excited about. I'm going to be excited about fighting. I'm going to be excited about painting and all those different things, and say, hey, if you like to do this, first of all, you can go to that table. We've got a thing that you can check out, and it might be simple paints, it might be simple scrolls, it might just be like a quick illumination. You do one letter that's already been pre-drawn, and they paint it and they take it home with them, and it's like, oh mom, look at this, I can do this at this thing here, can we go? And that's how you start building the interest. And if that means going into the inner city, so be it. If it means going to situations and events where there's going to be minorities, cool, let's do it. And maybe we need, instead of waiting for someone to call, which I don't know. Let me state that first of all. I don't know who calls or doesn't call, but instead of waiting for somebody to call and say, "Hey, um, can we do you do demos?" Maybe we start making phone calls where we know uh, people of color are going to be, and say, "Hey, we would love for free to run a 30-minute, 40-minute, hour demo of and show people of color our organization and invite them to come out." Again, I took a chance. Um, Not many people are going to do that. But if they see, let's say one or two people see me in my armor hitting someone else, laughing and giggling like you guys have seen me do, that might change a mind or head. If putting a helmet on someone's head and letting them kind of look, a little kid looking through your helmet, and them going, "Oh my gosh, this is really heavy. And letting them experience that firsthand, I think that would help them and encourage them to come out and try some stuff.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right that we need to be more proactive in trying to bring in more members of color. But I want to go back to something I think you said in your very first statement, is that when your friend first mentioned the SCA to you, you said, "Oh, that's for white people. I'm not going to do that." And I'm just wondering how, I think you explained how you overcame that thought. Mm-hmm. But how do we get other people of color to overcome that thought, especially when they come to a meeting or to an event, they are going to see mostly white people. So how do we get people over that hump?
Well, I think we're starting to show within our promotional materials that people of color are actually out here and doing the thing. We're actually seeing more videos. And I just think as a designer, as a marketer in my mundane life, I don't think people are going to come to the SCA. We have to put it where they are. That's simple. If you're trying to sell a grill to people who want to barbecue, you don't go to a library, a book club. You find the people who want to barbecue, and you go to them and go, "Hey, I got this really cool grill. You want to try it out?" And they're gonna go, "Okay." So we've got to be, we've got to go where people are. We've got to show them what we do. And maybe that not only, and show them, we can show them, if nothing else, this past year and a half has proven is that we can communicate and share information virtually. So now it's showing who you are and what we do has become way easier and way wider and much more accessible. So now it's like, okay, well, maybe we need to, and maybe this might be a thing that you and I need to work on. Maybe we need to do some more social media stuff and kind of engage people and using social media to say hi. And I say this kind of tongue in cheek. I'm not the Black representative of SCA, but I am a voice. I'm one of the SCA, right? So it's this fine line that you walk, and I think, I can't remember who I was telling, but like if it were me, and maybe I saw this, it's just saying, hey, I'm the SCA, and I'm here. I like hip hop. I like tennis shoes. I like hitting people upside the head with a sword and knocking them off a bridge.
Now that is a wonderful marketing campaign. I would
right
love
there. That
to
would be
see that.
awesome. All these
That would
videos of
be.
people. I am the SCA.
I am, and you start the video off, everybody knows I wear a baseball cap. Everybody knows I wear, jerseys and the like. And you go, this is what the SCA looks like. And then you do a, and then now you got this. And, it's like you met Clarence, now meet Tariq. And you say, this is what I do. You can do it too. That's the other piece. You're almost kind of, challenging and saying, hey, you watching this, you can do this. Try it. You might like it. You might not. And that's cool too. But you won't know until you come out and actually look at it and feel it and touch it and smell it and taste it and go, yeah, this is all right.
But the landmine question, of course, is retention. There's events that you won't travel to, Tariq,
Yes.
because they're down south. There's times on the battlefield that you have heard epithets hurled at you. How do we retain people in places where sometimes racism rears its ugly head?
So whether I'm on the list field in the middle of combat, or if I'm driving to work, things are going to happen. I think we are at a very pivotal. You can edit that. Pivotal time in history, and I think as far as retention is concerned, we have the officer of diversity. I think as we start to develop and grow offices that are there specifically to support people of color, members of color, that again, I'm only 10 years in. I can only speak for the time that I've been in. Have I heard things and been called things? Yes. But I've heard and been called things on the street. The only thing different is at the SCA, I can go speak to someone and say, hey, this is a problem. What can we do? And I also tend to believe that more people are becoming, there's an awareness that these things are happening. Again, it is a very pivotal and let's be honest, it's real turbulent as far as race relations everywhere, not just the SCA. And I find myself having a lot of uncomfortable conversations, and that's going to continue. It's going to have to, if we're going to bring more people of color. We have to say, hey, you'll be supported. And I guess that's it. I mean,
what I like is the thought of people of color leading it. Does that make sense? Like me in my middle-aged whiteness would prefer to be supporting you leading the charge.
Yes, but for me, it's a weird balance. Like I'll help, but how can I say this? I'm support staff, and I can come up with the ideas. I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll do whatever you ask me to do, but my memory isn't what it needs to be. But if no one else is doing it and it still needs to be done, I'll make it happen. And I'm willing to work with anybody,
Right. Well, both of you are. I don't mean to speak for you, Jalicia, but I know that you work with anybody. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I think it was really interesting what Tariq was saying about this being such an interesting time in history now. And the difference I see, and I've been in the SCA for about 20 years, but I've been in science fiction fandom practically all my
20
life.
years? You can't possibly be that old.
Let's see. Well, I'm bad at math. I date my start in the SCA to 2002. So whatever that makes it. Yeah,
19
yeah.
years.
Yeah, I know. Years pile up. But I just remember back in the day when I was a lot younger, if things happened or you felt something was unfair, I really wouldn't mention it to anybody because I didn't expect anybody to really understand or take my side. I mean, I remember in high school, I had a friend who was white, a guy, and he was into restaurant services and stuff. And there was a restaurant at that time called Sambo's. It was like a chain.
I remember
And I
Sambo.
said to him one time, I said, I think that's offensive. And his retort was, well, the man can name his restaurant whatever he wants. And I thought, okay, I mean, that's just the way it was. Now I think people would at least maybe get it or ask or pretend to get it or something,
Right.
So I think there's been a lot of changes, in society. And those trickle down to the SCA. But when I look at trying to get more diversity, especially more African Americans, the two things I think are kind of sticking points is camping events and having to dress in garb. And a lot of my African American friends, that's like a non-starter. They don't want to camp. They don't want to sleep in a tent. They don't want, that stuff is just totally weird. And then putting on, funny clothes. They think you should only be in, mundane,
the regular mundane.
clothes.
Yeah.
You should not ever look weird, not ever stand out or anything. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that. What do you think?
So for me, I wonder if that's cultural, because when I first started, I was not a fan. I did not want to, I felt silly, and I guess at some point you have to and it's easy for me. My background is I graduated from the Cleveland School of the Arts. Shout out to CSA. What's up? And we did shows. So wearing costumes and wearing garb is the exact same for me. I've been around plays and I've seen people wear period clothing. So you have to kind of, it's almost like you have to embrace the weirdness of it. And you almost kind of say, hey, stick your toe in. You don't have to jump in and have a full Elizabethan hookup coming out the gate. No, it could be something as simple as a Roman, almost like what Zoph has on, or a Viking
tunic.
No, the tunic or the what's it called?
What are those called? It looks like a jumper. I know what you mean. I don't know what it's called.
It can be something simple that looks very modern. And then, you walk around and you see some things and, you kind of go, oh, I would, it's almost like transitioning. If you can, another thing for me was, if you can build the bridge between modern, mundane, and medieval, like, hey, you see that shirt? Or, a thing that got me was the idea of the hood. Something simple as a hood. And then seeing people wearing these, I thought that was the coolest thing. I'm like, it never dawned on me that was a medieval idea. That I could just not have a coat, I could throw on a hood and it'll keep me cool.
The original hoodie.
Yeah, it'll keep me cool. It'll keep me dry when it's cold. The idea of wearing a cloak. So it's almost like you're transitioning them from the mundane ideas, and saying, hey, and again, maybe there's an opportunity there. Maybe you have a newcomer's ball. a party situation where um, everybody that's there is a newbie. Um, I had this idea a long time ago, and it was weird. I still think it might be cool. Um, is to have a dance party with modern music, but you're learning medieval dances. So now I know some of the music may or may not translate because of the beats and the, you'd have to talk to somebody who's way. Oh, that's another thing. I like medieval dance, but maybe you take, and we were just talking about, maybe take Drake or a Lil Nas X song that's popular, either speed it up or slow it down, and then you teach a medieval dance. Like, I love the horse's brain. That is my dance. But you take that and you combine the two, and if they're learning this dance, a medieval dance, to mundane music, and at some point you turn that mundane music off, and they go, "What are you doing?" And they go, "Do the exact same thing to this. You were just doing it. You was freaking it. You was, hey, you doing a, we just saw you doing it to Little Nas X, so you can do it to these drums and, you know, what's the wood thing that you play?
Flute.
No, the
The
recorder.
recorder.
You can do the exact same thing we just saw you. So it's almost, it's like, I'm a big believer in, don't give anyone an excuse not to do something. I can't do that. That's not to modern music. Okay, now we got modern music. What's your excuse? Well, I can't wear this. Everybody else has this. Here, try this. Everybody here is a newcomer. You have no excuses. Everybody feels the exact same way that you do. Now, what's your excuse? If you take away the excuses, no one. Eventually, you have to say, "I don't like this," and that's okay.
Right.
There is nothing wrong with saying, "I don't like this thing," as long as you are willing to try it. I know that I do not like avocado that much. I don't. I know it because I taste it, and I don't like the consistency in my mouth. I would not know that had I not tasted it.
All right, so we're almost out of time, believe it or not. So it's time for the final question. Delicia, do you want to ask it? Do you remember what it is?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. What is the
What are
Oh,
some
Delicia.
growth
Oh,
points?
oh, you forgot. What?
What are some of the what's a growth point? I think we sort of covered it though. What's an SCA growth point? How can we be better? What can we do more?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we just got to go. If we have identified who we want to see more of, don't wait for them to come to us. Be proactive and go to them.
Okay.
Simply is that simple. And it can't just be, I mean, yes, you want folks of color who are members to go, but it can't just, it just can't be us. You got to say, "Hey, we want you to come see this." And I'll be there, and I'm sure Jolicia will be there, and we'll say everything that's good about this thing, and we really need to, kind of just, put the plate out and go, "Here, try some. You'll like it."
Thanks. All right. Thank you very much, Tariq, our special guest
Hold on, did
tonight.
I answer all the questions?
No, I have a whole bunch more from Kari, but I'll shoot them at you later.
Can we
It's
listen to Lil
it's
Nas X now? Can we?
no, we're gonna say goodbye to everybody.
Oh,
So this is
fine.
Tariq and my special guest co-host of Awesome, Jalicia. Thank you, Jalicia, for being my co-host this week.
Thanks,
Oh, it was so
Jalicia.
much fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're the best.
Thank you for having me.
And oh, so glad to have you.
See, look at that. I'm smiling with my teeth. I don't never do that, Rick.
So we have a guest in 2 weeks, but I don't know who it is yet because I think Lucas is lining that up. But if you have somebody that can be a guest, please go to our Facebook page, simply SCAdian, no title required. And we have a pinned form for you to fill out and let us know who you think should be on our show. We want more people from other kingdoms. Like Lucas and I live in the Midrealm in the East. We have friends in Atlantia.
I know who I want to
And
see.
who,
I'm gonna have to ask her. I don't know if she's been on.
all right.
Her Grace.
No, no peers.
Oh dang, that's right. Dang.
Simply SCAdian, no title required means no peers, no
No
landed
peers.
baron and baronesses, no former
No
royals,
peers. No
no
stuff.
peers. No,
No
no,
stuff. No
no,
stuff. Sorry. No
no.
stuff.
See, and I don't even wear my stuff because I am.
Wait a minute. Wait, yeah, you're a peer. How's that?
Yeah.
I
You know, you need to get off the show. I need to
fine.
be.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
to go. You're a peer. You need to bounce. You need to. How you go? Wait a minute. Why didn't I think you're a peer with a show that says can't no peer? That is
Because
dog.
That's her peerness
because
aside for the show.
I set my peerness aside for the show, and it's also because my mission in the SCA is to elevate, and not in a peerage way, but to elevate the people who do not have peerages, to give everybody their chance to shine.
I know.
That is my
I'm just
mission
giving
in
you.
these.
I'm just giving
No,
you
I'm
grief
answering it
because
because I'm sure other people have wondered too. Why is this Laurel co-hosting this show? And it's because my personal mission in the SCA is to highlight the awesome of everybody in the SCA. Just like that. You guys are awesome. All right. You're watching Simply SCAdian, no title required. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.